All right, guys, so we're going to solve quadratics using the quadratic formula. You can see we have the quadratic formula right over here, and we're going to use that to solve both of these quadratics. Now, the first thing you want to do is make sure that it is in standard form. So if you look at number 1, you can see that it is in standard form because you have the x squared term first, then you have the x term, and then you have the constant term. So that is already in standard form. If it's not, you want to go ahead and do that, set it equal to 0, and get it in standard form. So looking at what we have, the a term comes from the coefficient in front of the x squared. So a is equal to 2 for this problem. B comes from the coefficient in front of x term. So b is equal to 1. We know there's a 1 there, even though it's not written. And then c is the constant term. So here c is equal to -5. So we're going to go ahead and plug those values into the quadratic formula. So now be careful because it's negative b. So if your b value is negative, it's negative and negative. We don't have that in this case, but you just have to be careful. So it's going to be negative b, so -1, plus or minus the square root of b squared. You should get in the habit of putting the b value in parentheses when you're squaring it, because if it's a negative, it has to be squared itself, which makes it a positive. So minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. So now from there, I like to simplify inside the square root, and of course I'll simplify this bottom number here. So that gives me -1 plus or minus the square root. Well, 1 squared just means 1 times 1, so that's 1. And then I'm going to multiply -4 times 2, then times -5. So when I do that, -4 times 2 is -8, and then -8 times -5 is plus 40. All over 2 times 2 is 4. So now, of course, I can go ahead and add the 1 and the 4. So this is -1 plus or minus the square root of 41 over 4. So now at this point, you want to look at this radical to see if you can simplify it. If you can simplify it, you want to go ahead and do that because you may be able to simplify the answer even more. Well, for this problem right here, the square root of 41 is already simplified, so there's nothing else we can do. So this is the answer, -1 plus or minus the square root of 41 over 4. Now understand it could be split off because there are two solutions here. So it's x is equal to -1 plus the square root of 41 over 4, and then -1 minus the square root of 41 over 4. Remember, there are two solutions. It's a quadratic. So either way, you can write it like this, or you can leave it together like that. All right, so let's look at number 2. So we can see that this is not in standard form. We got to get set equal to 0. So we got to go ahead and move this 9 over to the other side. So then when we do that, we have x squared plus 3x plus 9 is equal to 0. So now we're good. So our a value, remember, comes from what's in front of the x squared. So right now that's a 1. b comes from this coefficient. So that is a 3. And then c comes from the constant term, which is 9. Oops, excuse me. Fix that. So now we're going to go ahead and plug into our quadratic formula. So we have -b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. So now let's go ahead and simplify this. So we have -3 plus or minus the square root. So 3 squared is 9. And then we're going to multiply, change the color here. We got -4 times 1 times 9. That is -36 all over 2 times a. So 2 times 1 is 2. So what does that give us? I'm going to go ahead and bring this down here. So that gives us -3 plus or minus the square root of negative 27, because 9 minus 36, all over 2. So now again, we have to look at this radical and say, can we simplify that? And the answer is yes. So again, simplifying radicals is a different video. I'm just going to give you the answer and show you how to simplify. So we have the negative inside the radical is I, and then the square root of 27, I can write it over here. So square root negative 27. So again, the I is from the negative, and then 27 is 3, and there's the I square roots of 3. So this simplifies to 3i square roots of 3. So 3i square roots of 3 over 2. So now you look and you say, all right, is there anything else that I can do with this? And can I simplify, or are there any of these numbers? What I mean by that, does this number and this number or this value here, do any of those, can I reduce those? And we cannot. They are already simplified. There's nothing else that we can do. So this right here would be your answer. Or of course you can split it up like we did right here. You can split it up either way, but this is fine for my purposes anyway. So hopefully that'll help you with solving quadratics using the quadratic formula, and then I will see you when I do the next video.